I'm going to show you how to pay your championship employees properly. Everyone wants championship employees, the ones who take ownership, who think like operators or partners, and the ones who make your business money without constant babysitting. But what no one is talking about is that you're probably not paying them right. Most founders think they can pay $3 an hour for an A player or overpay $10,000 for a senior employee who ends up coasting and costing you time, money, and energy. Both are wrong, which is why in this video, I'm going to break down what you actually need to pay these championship employees, whether it's a virtual assistant, a salesperson, or your operations manager. I'll show you how to structure pay so you attract killers, not quitters, and how to make sure your compensation matches output, not empty promises. And if you stick around to the end, I will show you how we retain A players and even B players in our company 2 to 3x longer than most people, and how the companies that work with us do the same. Let's dive in. Most businesses get paid wrong. These business owners or founders are paying from an emotional perspective, not a logical one. And I used to be one of those people. I actually used to overpay people like crazy. And yes, there was a time and place to do that, but at scale, our profit went to shit. I ended up paying the wrong people what the right people should have been paid. And it cost me not just money and time, but it cost me some of these A players a few years ago when I did this. So what happens with a lot of these founders, they either underpay because they're scared of losing money, or they overpay because they think high pay equals high performance. Here's the reality, guys. Both are wrong. The truth is, championship level employees are attracted to growth, upside, and the opportunity, not just the salary. An example of this would be a $6 an hour championship level virtual assistant will outperform a $12 an hour virtual assistant who's waiting for instructions, who constantly needs babysitting, and who should not have been paid $12 an hour to start with. What really matters is clarity, incentive, and structure. So how do you structure pay that creates champions? Well, firstly, you want to define outcomes, not just rates. For example, close 10% of all the people that you pitch, or respond to every single email with a substance response and book appointments and meetings for the CEO. So those are two different outcomes for two different positions. The first being for sales, the second being for an executive assistant role. Once you define the value, you can price accordingly. So what you want to do is you want to create a performance-based upside. What does this mean? Well, this means that instead of just having a salary, you want to create some sort of incentives or bonuses that affect this person's day-to-day. And if they hit a certain KPI, whether it's a weekly or a monthly, they can get an X amount of incentive. So for example, the most common one is for salespeople that you hire offshore. Most of them are gonna get a small base, but then they're gonna get commission. And one of the things that I do is not only pay them commission, but if we hit a certain metric, for example, if we close $50,000 in a month for the closer, or if they have 3 paid in full yearly packages, I also give them a bonus on that. So they have a base, they have commission, and they have a bonus. The operations manager with us gets a base. On top of that, there's an incentive for the amount of projects that are completed under her team because she's managing the project manager and the system operators. And if we hit the monthly goal in terms of revenue and the hiring, she also gets a bonus for that. There are multiple variations for her pay. It's not just a base, but now she has multiple departments that she's dealing with on a regular basis, one more than the other, but the other is the entire company. Because she's operations manager and basically it's the number 2 person in the company, she has an ability to make an incentive of that. And the last example is an executive assistant. So for the executive assistant, it's a little tricky because it depends on what your day-to-day is for yourself and what your day-to-day is for your executive assistant. But a generous base, anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 per month, especially if they're qualified and skilled and experienced. And then the incentive or bonus could be something like booking you on set amount of podcasts per week. Or it could be flying and saving points because they're playing around with points and they only use points to make us travel. And if they save an X amount of points and X amount of dollars, I will reward them with maybe a free flight for themselves. You can get very creative. It really depends on how your executive assistant, what they do. While the operations manager and salesperson have a more of a clear roadmap, an executive assistant, depending on where you are in your business, I will create something where they either save you time or help you make more money? And if that's the case and they help you with that, how can you incentivize them on this? What's important here is that you want to match compensation to impact, not effort. It's all about the impact at the end of the day. And impact is really another way of saying results. It's all about the result at the end of the day. So if the operations does everything she's supposed to do, but we're not hitting our goals, we're not hitting our hiring goals or our revenue goals, that's a problem. If the closer is closing deals, but he's collecting almost nothing and he's always having to discount and ends up not actually helping us hit our revenue mark, well, they should not be incentivized on top of their commission. They'll get their base, they'll get their commission. So incentivizing any of your team members is all about going above and beyond, but more importantly, matching that to the impact, not just the effort. You can get a high five for an effort, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is results. One of the things that you can also consider is doing a 30, 60, or 90-day roadmap for the person to ultimately get paid more. For example, if you offer a salary for someone and they're not happy and maybe you guys are $500 to $1,000 away, well, meet them closer to your number, but over 30, 60, 90 days, see how they improve. And if they hit X amount of metrics or KPIs, then consider increasing their salary. This is something that I do anytime anybody wants a raise. I look at their last 3 months, 3 to 6 months of performance, and then I create a roadmap for them of where they want to get to over the next following months. Now, it depends on how aggressive they want to get with their salary, right? If it's a $100 increase, well, it's not that big of a deal, right? I want to give it to them when it's fair and based on, again, impact. But if it's a $200, $300, $400 increase from where they're at, right? We're talking about a 20, 30, up to even a 40% increase, which is insane. They better have a crazy track record to prove they're worth it, and then we're gonna create a roadmap for them to get to where they want. This is something that I learned from acquisition.com, and that's whenever you promote someone or you negotiate with them, give them some sort of a test. See where they are now and what the growth they need to get to in order to achieve the number they wanna get, right? Now you know what their number is, and you know in negotiation, the person that knows the number, right, the other side wins. So now that I know your number, I need to create leverage for myself as the business owner. Again, this is all correlating impact over effort. Here's a pro tip. Always anchor the salary compared to what the market is saying that this person is worth. And when I'm saying this person, I mean more about the position. So what are other people in your industry paying an operations manager? What are other people paying a salesperson or an executive assistant? Do some market research. You're welcome to reach out to the Remote Latinos team so we can actually give you this information. You can also use ChatGPT to get a little bit more context, but you always want to be fair to this person. You never want to pay them a lot less than the market or a lot more if they don't deserve it. Okay, keep that in mind. Pro tip number 2, if you truly have an A player, someone that's going above and beyond, someone that is consistently delivering results, someone that has leadership capabilities, someone that you feel like is a partner in the company, when you speak with them, you are taking everything they say into consideration, then you should look into paying them a little bit better. And that's usually about 10 to 20% on top of what the market value is. So for example, if most people are paying $1,200 or $1,300 a month, I would consider paying this person $1,500 or $1,600 per month. $2,000, I would consider paying them $2,200 or $2,300 per month. So consider these things when you're negotiating or when you're offering these people a position in your company. Now, something to consider is hiring these people in the first place. And one of the best ways to do that is to go to remotelatinos.com, schedule a call with our team. We can help you find an operations manager, a salesperson, appointment setter. I mean, you name it, we place it. And here's the best part. We know our people are worth the money that they are asked for because they have a proven track record when they work with us. Number 1, we do a hardcore vetting process. Number 2, and number 3, we focus on hiring A players. We're not in the B or C player world. We want to hire A players that can come into your business and make a difference from day one, meaning you only have to interview a couple people and find the perfect fit. And again, once you hire them, you should be able to feel the impact as soon as that happens. So head over to remotelatinos.com. Let us help you find the next Remote Latino. That being said, before I end the video, I want to talk about the last thing, which is the Remote Latinos Formula. Now, keep in mind, guys, we've hired over 2,000 people for over 1,000 different businesses over the last several years. So I would say we know a thing or two, and our formula has worked for us and for thousands of business owners. So number 1, you want to pay fairly to the market. For example, Latin American talent is a little bit more expensive than Pakistani, Middle Eastern, or Filipino talent. It's not anything crazy, but we're talking about a $1 to $4 an hour difference depending on the role and the position. Number two, before bringing on anybody, you want to have a clear structure, right? What are the KPIs of this department or this role? What does the day-to-day look like? What is the 30, 60, 90-day game plan? What are the tools and the processes that this department or position are going to be using on a regular basis? What is the overall outcome that I'm anticipating that needs to happen with this department or again position, and how will it impact the overall company? These are things you want to consider before hiring anyone anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in Latin America, the Philippines, or if it's $1 an hour or $5,000 an hour. You must have these things in order so that way you can find the right person off the bat. Make the pay transparent. Be 100 with them. And how I do this is two ways. One, it's clearly on the job description. We put the salary, incentives, bonuses right there and then, okay? And by the way, we don't even call them bonuses, we call them performance pays, because bonuses are something that you get once in a while, while performance pays are something that you can get on a regular basis. So keep that in mind. So salary, performance pays, and any incentives they can get, it's crystal clear right there on the job description. And then we go over that on the interview. Sometimes we go over it twice on the interview, on 2 different interviews, because we want to make sure that if we hire this person, they know exactly what they're going to get paid and how frequently they're going to get paid. And lastly, the platform we use to get paid. For example, our team members get paid off Deal. So we will tell them we use Deal for one of our processes. We also use Wise. We've also used PayPal, but mostly we use Deal. And number 4, I make it crystal clear the fact that this candidate, whether they're here already and they're a team member or the candidate that I'm interviewing, I make it crystal clear for them to know if they win, we win. If they lose, we lose, right? This is a team effort. I've been able to build this in order to create a winning culture. And if I have team members who are constantly losing or are losers, that makes me a loser. It makes our company a loser. So it's super important for them to understand I have their back, their team members have their back, right? And most importantly, if they win, we win. The only way that Remote Latinos wins is if our internal team wins, if our clients win, if our candidates win. If we win, once we create a winning formula, which is what I just went over with number 1 through 3. Now, if you want to learn what the biggest mistakes you need to avoid when hiring anyone, anywhere, click the video here to learn more. Thanks for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Os.